great question, and this is one of these. It's a question that is not new. As I get a little older and read a few books, it turns out that this is something that's been pondered as long as we have records of people pondering. The old Roman philosophers mused about this extensively. So, for example, this guy Seneca just argues, and he's a Stoic philosopher. I think he's a Stoic. I could be full of crap. I think it sounds right. Anyway, Seneca writes these wonderful essays about death, where he argues that there's no reason to fear death. And in one of my favorite essays, I wish I could quote this, but he says something about, everybody's so worried about, well, what's the world going to be like when I'm not in it anymore? And Seneca says it'll be just like it was before you got here. And I love that because it's absolutely true. And yet, I wish it were that easy, because if it were, then it just wouldn't be a problem. And once again, I've got to take refuge in Becker's notions, because his point is that death is so terrible because it couldn't be otherwise in a living thing that has been carefully crafted by billions of years of evolution to avoid dying at all costs. In the beginning of the denial of death, Becker just says, look, every living thing is disinclined to die. There's just, if you weren't, then you wouldn't be here. So the point that he makes, and he's following this guy Gregory Zilborg, is that our fear of death is just the natural result of a living thing. The difference is that we know it's going to happen. What makes it so terrible, the fact is that it's not terrible. I mean, I can say that as I sit here where my death is not immediately imminent, and as a vague intellectual abstraction, I can agree that death is part of life, and that's just how it is, and it's not going to be otherwise, and that's fine. But Becker's response is that it's just not that easy. It's almost a necessary reflex. It's the emotional manifestation of the biologically based predisposition towards self-preservation, juxtaposed with the consciousness of the fact that it won't work. So that